Recently I set out in an area of Tennessee called Short Springs Natural Area, and I really wanted to set out in search of a waterfall that I've been to several times, but in this particular day I wanted some detail shots of water within the overall falls. So I'm out here in southern Tennessee. It's a chilly morning, but the weather today is supposed to be pretty nice. The thing about it is, like, the forecast today said low winds, cloudy skies. So for me, that means come waterfalling. So I headed out to southern Tennessee. Obviously, you can see on your own screen, weather can be fickle at times, which is always the challenge of the landscape photographer, out searching for the right light, getting the right conditions. Waterfalls require soft, even light, which is great for cloudy weather, rainy weather. That's what I was hoping for. You know, we have some clouds rolling in behind me, kind of on the horizon, not too much yet, but it could be a long waiting game today of getting that shot for the waterfall, but hopefully we can work with the light. I mean, there's always something to capture, so I'm constantly gonna keep my eyes down on the trail for any wildflowers that are blooming today. And then when we get to the waterfall, I'm hoping for some really good compositions with a wide angle lens and with also a telephoto lens, really capturing some intimate details of the water flowing. So let's get going, hit the trail. Jeez, look at this guy when he fell. I bet that made a loud boom. Look at the scale of this thing. I mean, I'm 6'5", so that thing has to be over 10 feet in height at the root system. Ooh, what do we have here? Naughty hikers leaving trash on the trail? Tisk tisk. Shame on you for leaving trash. Let's protect our areas. Oh, and what's this? Some Swisher Sweets? I don't think so. Let's keep our trails clean so that we can all experience fun hikes like I had today, of going along these trails and trying to find features to photograph with a telephoto lens, really secluding areas and finding things like these wildflowers that were in this field. Truly magical day for spring photography. These wildflowers are amazing. Like down here in this valley, up top we had nothing. Like you saw, it was barren, dead trees, well, hibernating trees, I guess, for the winter. But in this valley, like, spring has definitely sprung, and there are so many wildflowers to shoot. Now, I don't have a macro lens, so I can't really do anything with them, but it just goes to show, like, there's always something to shoot. Even though you have dappled light in this scene, there are plenty of wildflowers that are in the shades of trees or in the shade of, you know, other leaves and just simply in even light. So you have to always watch and consider, like, where the light is, where you're gonna shoot, and always watch the ground, like spotting different things to shoot. Just don't sacrifice wildflowers for the shot just because they're really fragile, and this is a really fragile ecosystem. So you don't want to just like slam your tripod leg down on one and expect it to be there the next year, because it probably won't. So always watch for wildflowers and these things. Spring is amazing. It just gives me new life, and it's incredible to be out here shooting among all these wildflowers down in this valley. You can hear the waterfall on the other side of the trail. So, I mean, this whole scene just, it makes me want to frolic in here. As I frolic through the fields of wildflowers, I just remember how much I love spring and spring photography, and how much it just re-injuvenates me to get out and take more photos and experience the great outdoors just to see these features. And remember to watch your step, because they're very delicate ecosystems. But it's time for me to continue on my trail in search for this waterfall and my detail shots of waterfalls. I'm very long and gangly, so walking on these cliffs is very treacherous for me. I'm surprised I didn't fall in, to be honest. As I came around the corner, I finally saw the overall falls that I was going to shoot. Amazing scene that we have here. So the waterfall is really loud, obviously, so I'm sorry for the extra noise, but Up here, we're just gonna follow the shadows. There's some really cool cascades we can work with up here in compositions for this waterfall shot. Because it is so big, because we do have harsh shadows, we're gonna work with a smaller waterfall scene within this bigger one. It has some offshoots going on that we can look at in just a second.
Because the falls was so loud, I decided to voice record over it so I wouldn't bust your eardrums open. But I started out my composition search using this composition and this angle, but I wasn't quite sure that it was exactly going to work. As you see, we have this rock jutting out on the right side. I'm trying to use a lot of the water flow coming out of this water to really elongate my foreground of the composition. So then I started to move around a little bit, close-ups, kind of increasing the height on this to try to get more water featured here. But it still wasn't working out. That rock on the right side was just blocking too much of the composition. So I moved out front to try to get a different viewpoint on this scene, and it did a really good job. It freed up that flow, it freed up the composition and what you could see of that waterfall. And I eventually decided to go for a vertical shot here that you see on the right side of your screen, really using the flow of that water as my foreground and elongating that foreground using an ultra wide angle lens, kind of pulling it to the front of the frame that you see here. And it worked out very well. And there are so many different cascades within this that it just churned out an amazing overall scene of this smaller waterfall within this larger waterfall scene that I was photographing on this day.
So I was just over here eating a sandwich like a lazy bum. And as I was sitting there, I noticed that the wind coming off the waterfall was just throwing up this crazy mist right in front of the falls and right in front of where it was coming down. And the sun right now is beaming just straight overhead from the waterfall. What that's doing is just sending plumes of this golden mist straight up into the air. So what I decided to try was get my telephoto lens out and get a detail shot of the water coming down. And all I really am at here is 1/4 of a second f/16 ISO 100. And I just sit and wait until those plumes of wind throw this golden mist up into the air. And it's like really atmospheric. It's really nice looking. And I'm hoping that the final image is gonna have that like golden tint to it right in front of the falls. Just a really misty, moody, detailed waterfall shot that you can't really get with a huge wide angle lens unless you're shooting like sun rays or something. So I'm really hoping that this shot comes out.
I love how this photo turned out and how you have this golden, misty light right in front of the falls. A great detail shot here. And I also took time here to just sit and take in this overall scene of the waterfall. And just this warm spring day, you had leaves budding on trees, you had gentle water movement in the background, and a great trail to hike too. Even if you don't get out and take multiple photos and get multiple keeper shots, it's always great to get outside and explore these areas and try to find different compositions and different details that may work within your landscape photography.
All in all, really fun hike this morning. I mean, we didn't have great light. Like, it's still really sunny, even though the forecast said it was going to be cloudy. Slightly bitter about that, but not too bitter. But overall, a really fun hike. I've been to this waterfall before, so I kind of knew what to expect. I've never really gotten that like huge waterfall shot here, but overall it was a really good morning. We got some cool shots of like minor waterfalls that were within the big waterfall that I really enjoyed, especially that vertical one we got with the motion of the water acting as our foreground. I thought that was a really cool shot. And then also the moody mist, like creating that really moody atmospheric shot the detail shot that we got was definitely my favorite shot of the day, just because, you know, you search for interesting light in photography. You search for those moments where the light just hits the landscape just right. And I felt like that in this setting with the lighting that we had was like the perfect shot to get. So I was really happy with that shot too. I really encourage you guys to subscribe to this channel. We're gonna go on several more adventures throughout the coming weeks. So get ready, summer's coming, spring is here. I'm excited. Here's the next video you can watch if you wanna stay on this channel.